All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Uncomfortable. This is episode 10. This is episode 10? Oh, shit, 10. This is episode 10. No, because I've been getting it so wrong previously, so I didn't even know. Wow. Sorry, I definitely told somebody they was going to be able to come on for episode 10 in this episode 10.
Wow. Didn't drink for that.
I really need to get my shit together. This life is new for me, y'all, so I haven't even gotten all my shit together. But today is episode 10, once again, and I've got my guests with me here. So everybody introduce yourselves, let them know who y'all are.
Okay.
It's like, who's go first?
So, my name is Amali. I am from the South Bronx.
Okay.
I don't know. What other things that we should be introducing about ourselves?
Anything you want to say. This is Amali. I love Amali.
My pronouns, that's the new thing.
Oh, pronouns.
My pronouns are she and her.
And Amali is a doula in training. How about that?
Oh,
okay.
Wow.
You see? Those are things you can introduce yourself.
See, that's a fun fact.
Exactly. Okay, now you.
Simone, South Bronx too, and I don't know. I guess I own a nonprofit. We Aim Higher.
That's right. Okay. That's right. She was gonna say, I guess. Like that's an amazing thing, right? Like I own a nonprofit. Yes. Make sure y'all check out We Aim Higher, helping out all the kids in the Bronx and the South Bronx. They doing their thing. So I know y'all wondering what we joined here today. So today we're gonna be talking about colorism and fetishization. I think that's how you say it. Mm-hmm. Okay. With fetishes, with colorism and all that shit, whatever. Y'all get it. Mm-hmm. We're gonna talk about that. So the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I actually read this post on Instagram, and what is one of the things that it said actually spoke out to me, so I can actually read that to y'all. Cause I was like, wow, like
yeah, read it.
I was like, I definitely want to talk about this. Like once I saw that, I was like, yeah, like I gotta do something with this. I just feel like also, even like before I read this, like just even dealing with colorism and dating, like there's just so much to speak about that I feel like we don't speak about, and you know that's the point of this podcast in general. So let me find that. I'm very unorganized today, guys.
It's cool. Sometimes those make the best podcast.
Facts.
Hop out. Y'all not even ready.
Y'all not ready.
You don't know what we going so bad.
So it was titled "The Masculization of Dark Skin from a Dark Skinned Woman," and so one of the things they were saying was that by deeming dark skin as strength, society matures young dark girls to be perceived as objects of pleasure instead of human beings. It said that this was also one of the things. It says it's a reason why Nicki Minaj is called a bitch and Cardi B is called a quirky, or the reason Ari Lennox is called a Rottweiler and Zendaya is called elegant. Even Beyonce's own father said it himself. Because of her skin tone, she was more successful than her darker counterparts. And why the fetishization of mixed women specifically? Because light skin is ideal in society to be perceived as feminine. Leaving dark-skinned women to handle not only the physical fetishization of their bodies, but the dehumanization of their own skin. And then it said, wow. It said, the societal difference between the field slave and the house slave still exists. The societal difference between the white woman and the slave woman still exists. And that's something that broke out to me. So we can talk about that. Like just the idea of like the house slave and the field slave still like existing in this society, in this culture, especially when it comes to like women and like the way we are seen. So let's talk about that. So.
Right. I think I can start off with like a story.
Okay.
Probably like 2 or 3 years ago, me and my friends dressed up as cheetah girls at a Halloween party in a warehouse. You know, of course, I was Galleria. And I remember we were dancing, having a good time, and it was a group of black men. So most of all my friends are Latinx. Okay. I'm going to be honest about that. And, I'm sorry. Okay. And we were dancing, having a good time, and the group of black guys all pointed out, like, oh, they're all beautiful, but I don't know about that one. And they were talking about me. And then one of them was like, yeah, she's not cute. But it just seemed funny because the rest of my friends are Latinx, and they're not the dark-skinned kind, you know? So I kind of felt offended. You know, I'm drinking. I was upset because this is my own kind, you know what I'm saying? And all I remember is my friends like cursing them out, like getting upset and cursing them out. I was like, what are you talking about? Don't talk about my friend like that. But I feel like I internalized that a lot that night because I'm like, damn, like, you know, like I can't even express it. But I was like, wow, like I'm the ugly one, and I know you was calling me ugly because of my skin.
Yeah.
Because everyone else that was with me was not my skin color.
Right.
So it's like, I don't know how y'all could bring that up, but yeah, that's an experience I had a few years ago. And that's just a few years ago.
Wow. I think that, like, all of that is true, you know, and that's like a valid experience, and it's an experience that happens way too often.
Right.
And, you know, now that, like, you know, I'm working towards my certification, like, I'm seeing how that is so deeply rooted in, like, all of the systems that make up the society, whether that's the educational system, the healthcare system, the housing system, like the food system within our communities. Like, we lack humanity so deeply that it's like, we don't even see Black bodies as being people. We see them as like, I read this excerpt of a woman that did like an article based on the hospital and like why Black women are dying at the rates that they are. And it's basically like, when there was slavery, it was like your job was to reproduce the next generation in order for that person to be a slave and continue working these plantations, right? So boom, now we're in the 21st century, we're in capitalism, you know, everything is about money, everything's about like, your body is not even like a human, it's what we could get out of you. So your job at this hospital is to give us that next generation of people that we could exploit. So once you've done that, who really cares what happens to you? Right? So, and like, that is just the reality just from the healthcare system. Then you go through like the educational system, you see like our Black boys on pipelines, literally on pipelines.
The prison pipelines.
Prison pipelines. So it's like, and then you got the housing situation. Who are the people that are on Section 8 vouchers? Who are the people that live in the projects? Who live in these mecca buildings? It's the Black and brown bodies. So then it's like, how can you really, and I don't know if this is still on topic, but I just feel so adamant about like, how can we as a community not rely on these systems that were not fucking built for us, right? These systems are not built for us, and they continue to marginalize us, you know? So yes, as a light-skinned woman, I'm Dominican, I realize that I have privileges, but my job is to use that privilege and that platform to continue to spread awareness. So no, the person that I'm dating, no, the person I'm in these circles with, and all these people that I'm sitting at a table with having conversations about, if you got some fucked up perception and understanding about what the reality is, we not having a conversation. Facts. Right? That's what to talk about. And that's just period. Like, I didn't grow up in a household where, you know, like the common, when you think of a Dominican, you think of someone who's racist, you think of someone who's colorist, and that's the reality, even in my own family. But I wasn't raised in a household like that. So for me, it's like at a turning point where it's like very historical, because I feel like everything that's going on is very historical. We're going to see this shit in the textbooks. It's so like, wow, like this is where I come from. This is my backstory, but I don't identify with this. So then it's like, what do I do with that? You know, like where do I go where these people who already have this perception of what Dominicans are going to receive me? You know what I mean? Right. So, you know, that looks like my internal work, my own community, my family, having these conversations. And if you stupid and you ignorant, then I'm not sitting having these conversations. Right. Like, and that's on period, you know? And I feel like Black people should not feel like it's your job to educate somebody. You know, I feel like if you cannot respect me and you cannot understand these boundaries and know that what you had an idea of is wrong and hurtful, then like, again, we have no business having conversations. And that's just how I feel. That's the open up.
And to tie what y'all both said into, like, you know, even being a Black woman and trying to figure out, like, I guess you could say, like, where, I don't want to say where we fit in, but like where we fit in society, where like we're not like, you know, being dehumanized, and we're not being looked at like we are just giving off something, as far as like you're saying in the hospitals. I feel like it's so hard, you know, and it's hard to be a Black woman, and even in some senses I felt like some envy, some jealousy towards lighter skinned women in some senses because
Felt that way.
it's just like I'm just feeling like damn, like I know people are not liking me because I'm not beautiful, it's just because I'm black, like there's nothing I can do about that. Like
to tie in what you say, like it makes me think about the quote you said about the Nicki Minaj whole thing, right? It's like she get ridiculed, but Cardi, I love both of them, but Cardi gets it. Oh, it's just she it's like she gets more compliments than a Nicki. And then a lot of times I think about it like as black women, we gotta fit into a certain category. Like, are you ratchet? Are you classy? Are you that independent black woman? Like, why can't I be all these personalities? Like me. Right now I'm getting my master's, but a lot of people wouldn't believe that because the way I talk.
Good for you.
Right.
But a lot of people wouldn't believe that because the way I talk. Like, like I talk, I'm sassy, I got an attitude, I curse. Oh my God, I fucking curse. But like, everyone thinks I'm ratchet until I be like, oh no, I'm getting my master's in school counseling. They like, what? Oh, that's cute. You really smart then. No, I've been smart.
Right.
But once I tell you what I'm doing, it's like, oh, you smart. No, bitch, I've been smart.
Yeah.
The fuck? Just because I curse don't mean shit. Why I gotta fit in one category? I like to twerk on the weekends, but Monday through Friday, I'm going to my 9 to 5.
And there's nothing wrong with
that. But Cardi gets it like, oh, she made it because she was a stripper. But let it be a black woman be a stripper who made it.
Right. And that's the same thing. Even that comment when they said, Ari Lennox is a Rottweiler. It's like,
oh my God.
The comparison that we get is always to some animal.
Like they dead don't see what human.
Like
that's why I'm literally like.
And it just be confusing. It's just like, why does she? And it's like, even if she did look like a Rottweiler, right? Like, if even people be like, oh, she does look like a Rottweiler. Okay. But why did y'all have to say that specifically about her? There are a lot of light-skinned women that look like other animals. Sure. You know what I mean? Like, but nobody's out here saying that. You know what I mean? Like, and even to your story, like that is a whole nother issue where it's like, I even feel like even black men don't like me. I'm just you feel me? Like, I've been in situations where I've been around my lighter skinned women friends, and we're sitting there, we're talking, and they talk to them, and I'm just like, okay, well, I guess I do not exist, and I'm just not gonna say nothing at this point because I'm just like, fuck it. But like, like it's just to the point where it's like even black men have a fetishization for lighter skinned women and all these other types of women besides black women. And I feel like there's obviously some deep rooted issues in that. Like, I don't know if it's generational trauma, things that they've dealt with other black women that have made them put this fence up. But it's like, I feel like as black women, it really be hard sometimes in society, to deal with shit. But also it's the same thing for lighter skinned women, because it's like you have that stigma attached to you that, like you are this type of person, just because I feel like people attach personalities to skin color now. Like, oh, she's light skinned, so she does shit like that. Right. She's dark skinned, so she does shit
and
like
that. And I was about to say that because I feel like it's hard for light skinned women too, because they feel light skinned women are more submissive.
Yeah.
Because black women are too independent. It's like, it makes no sense.
I was like, you got the wrong one, but
it makes no sense.
I was gonna ask like it doesn't, but it just goes to show you how like fetishes and even just colorism doesn't make sense in itself. Like, like it's so many different versions of colorism. You have black men going for lighter women. Even we was in middle school, or maybe it was high school, Spanish woman was the shit. Like, that was it. Like, to have a Spanish girlfriend, yes,
like
to
a Bronx wine,
to have a Hispanic girlfriend at that time, if your girlfriend was Spanish, if she was mixed, she was foreign, you were lit, because they were in at that time. I feel like it just became a trend for black women to be like the shit. Like, oh, like
it did.
It just became a trend, and it's like there's nothing wrong. I'm not trying to say I have anything against lighter skinned women, because I used to feel like I just said before, like I had that envy, that jealousy, and I used to be like, oh my God, like, but I had to realize like it's not y'all fault. Like, it's not a lighter skinned woman's fault that this is something that has been placed in society. It's not like y'all woke up and was like, yeah, choose me. Like, you feel me? Like, it's just something that has happened. But do you feel like as a lighter skinned woman, you've seen that? Like, have you ever seen like you've experienced that around your darker skinned friends, or just being in that area where you feel like, well, damn, like you said, I guess I have this privilege, and like noticing that, like,
yeah, I definitely feel like, and I would like to think that I'm doing like ongoing work to always be aware of that, because in any room that you step into, like, you need to recognize your privilege, and you need to recognize how you're going to use that. But then I also feel like at least the people that I have been around, like in high school specifically, I just always felt like one, like, I'm a bigger light-skinned woman, right? So, and I don't have the finest features. So I feel like there's also a spectrum even within that. That's like, your hair's not straight, your nose is a little, it's not fine enough. You got big lips, you're not skinny. So it's kind of like, I'm tall, I'm in the back of the school line, like, so,
you kind of get,
even through high school, it was just like, I was still on the marginalized side.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then I feel like that also, one, it humbles you. And two, like, it also gives you that perspective where it's like, yeah, you're not really what everybody wants. So you need to be able to understand and listen to other people that are on that same, like, same side, or not even the same side, just the same kind of, like, feeling that you feel, right? Because I feel like that's what Alliance is. I feel like, yes, like, I was having this conversation the other day with somebody, like, the Asian community wants you to show up for them, but then it's like, you don't show up for the Black community.
That's another podcast.
Right? But at the end of the day, like, that's another podcast, but I couldn't leave without bringing this up. Because I just feel like, at the end of the day, like, you're not white. So at the end of the day, like, they're gonna know that you're not white, and you're still on this side. So it's like, why can't we find unity on this side? Right. So we could combat this bigger problem that has all of us oppressed, you know? But people are not ready for that conversation. But to get back to your question, I feel like, because I could keep rambling about it. I feel like that's like internal work. Like, that's my job, to be self-aware and to have these conversations. And let's say, like, I'm in a space where maybe I'm felt uncomfortable, like, that's on me, right? So that's on me to check myself and be like, well, why do I feel uncomfortable? And how can I then have a conversation so that I can understand the next person? Yeah. But that's called empathy, which is what people lack. People don't have empathy. Like, to be able to be like, Mia, you hurt yourself. I didn't hurt myself, but let me ask you how you feel. What can I do for you to feel better? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, people don't.
So they don't. Like, people are, like, barbaric. Like,
right. And I kind of want to add to what you're saying, because, like, I said I have a lot of Latinx close friends, and, you know, there's times where, like, I express myself as a Black woman being so upset about things, and they never downplay how I feel. Like, they listen to me, and, like, they make me feel like, damn, I got a counterpart. Like, they never say, like, this is your experience as a Black woman, I'ma listen. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times I was getting that because, like you said, a lot of stuff is internal. And I remember being 15, 16, I only dated Spanish men, well, boys, because back then we was younger. Right. I only dated Spanish boys, and, you know, I feel like a lot of them used to say, you my first Black girl, my first Black experience. So, you know, I want to see how this feel, but they never posted me or showcased me. And then a lot of times I used to say things like, yo, I'm be with a Spanish guy because I want my kid to have nice curly hair and light skin. And at that point, I'm internalizing how being Black is hard. So let me have a light-skinned baby so her life won't be hard and it can make life easier for me.
But that's
some shit I grown from, because now I'm 25. I'm like, what the fuck wrong with me? Like, I really thought that.
But, you know, that goes to show you just the way society has put it into place, because that's only you've only thought that because society, no one told you that. Right. It was just what you've seen. Like, okay, I've seen that being a Black woman, being a Black girl is hard. Right. I've seen the things that have been said about me, how I'm not wanted. So why would I want that for my children? Obviously, I'm gonna try to make it better for them. So if they're mixed, it's better. They'll be fine. Like, people probably no, because it's like you get praised for being mixed nowadays. Like, you mixed with Spanish and Black, you foreign. Like, that's amazing.
Bro,
good for you.
That foreign thing kills me.
I don't understand it.
But it came to a point. But it came to a point. Even when we was in high school, people was lying. I had this girl in my school, like, she was Chinese.
When they had the slanted eyes, all night they blazing. Like, bitch, you're not blazing.
But it was like every other week she's from somewhere different. It was like, this week she's Brazilian, this week she's Chinese.
Oh, it's the Cuban for me.
This week she's like, and it's like, it came to a point where it's like, even if you were Black, saying these things made it better. Like, it's like, oh, if I say I'm Caribbean and Puerto Rican, or I'm Caribbean Cuban, it's not that bad. Like, maybe I could get a little bit of leeway because I'm not just Black.
Because I'm not just Black.
You know? And it's come to the point where even you're saying that you don't date only Spanish men. when I was like 16, I only spoke to this one Spanish guy, and even speaking to him, like, he used to tell me all the time, like, I don't like black girls. So I used to be like, so, like, why you talking to me?
Like, fetishizing what you can,
that fantasy of me, and I'm just like, so, you know, like, why are you talking to me? He's like, well, you're different. You're not ratchet. You're not loud, and you talk like a white person. And I'm just like,
girl,
I don't talk like a white person. This is my voice. That's one. Two.
And what is that?
Right. Two. Not every black woman is ratchet and loud. Like, I don't know where you get this idea from. Anybody could be from anywhere and be ratchet and loud. Right. That could be your environment. You could be white and be from wherever you at, and you're ratchet and loud. Like, you feel me? Like, that's you. Whatever. And I just felt like, you know, I've also always heard comments like, I would date a dark-skinned Dominican, but not a black woman. Like, you know, especially from Dominican men. I don't talk to Dominican men for that rare reason that I know that it's problematic, but it's true. I've always felt like that. I know Dominican men don't like black women, so I stray away from them. The Puerto Ricans grow up in the hood, so they got a little. No, I'm dead ass. They be liking the black girls. They be liking black girls because they grow up in the hood. But Dominican men, I don't even try it. Like, even if I think they're cute, I'm not even saying nothing because I just know for a fact, like, I know you want to marry.
And they be darker than you. 20 times darker than you.
They not black. They coffee, they mocha, they chocolate with vanilla swirl. They everything
nothing
but black.
You know? So I don't even try with Dominican men. But it's like, it's sad that I have to say that. And it's not because I think I'm not beautiful. It's just, I know they don't like black girls. So I'm not even going to try. Right. You know, and then you have this thing where people say, like, you know, as black women, like, they have this thing where it's like, white men love black women. Like, I don't know what the fuck.
Let me tell you, I was on a dating app, but I feel like we fetishes to them too, because I was on a dating app, and one guy was like, yeah, like, I love black pussy. And I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Am I a slave? Like, what you mean you love black pussy? Like, what is that? And you know what's so crazy? When he said that, it brought me back to when I was like 13 or whatever. One of my friends, she was Dominican, and she asked me if my pussy was black inside. And I said, bitch, now you need to go to the gynecologist, because whose pussy is black inside? And that she really asked me that, and she was Dominican too, right? I got nothing against my Dominican people. I love you. But I was like black inside, and she's like darker than you. You know what I'm saying? She was like a nice caramel, whatever. And I'm like, dark inside.
Like, bitch, what?
It ain't black, bitch. It's pink. It's black on the outside because that's my skin.
It's deeply rooted. Like, I was really deeply rooted. Like, I was. What was I doing? I think I was like on the internet looking it up, and I was just like curious to understand like why the first people that migrated here were so adamant to not like start a family with anybody darker than them. And it traces back to the history of the island, but then it's just like all right, so that was like a while ago.
Yeah, so why we still have that?
Why are we still here? Like, a lot of us have been able to get educated. A lot of us are at these, you know, conversations that we're having. So when are we as a collective gonna be like, okay, yeah, actually, this is outdated. This is what we need to be talking about and what we need to be aware about. Because it's just like, this is ridiculous. That there's people, I have an uncle who's dark skinned. I have family members who are dark skinned, and he swears by the Holy Grail that he's not black. And I'm just like, I don't know, like, how, in what other term I could put this in for you.
You're black, buddy.
You're black.
You're black. You're blacker than they get. You're black.
You know, so I also feel like I told you, like, it's not your job. And I feel like that's easier said than done because this is your reality, but it's not your job to go out and educate anybody on anything. Books are out there. Okay? Internet is at the fingertips. Do your job. And it's not just, I have a black friend. No, it's having these conversations amongst your friends.
I just had an episode.
What you think you valid because you got a black friend? You're not valid just because you got a black friend.
That's the problem.
But people think, but you know what it is? It's crazy because it's like, that's dead ass become like the normal to say, like, I have a black friend. Like, and you saying that supposedly means that everything's okay. Like, because you have a black friend.
You can say nigga because you got a black friend.
You can say nigga. not only can you say nigga, but you're good, like, in the hood because you have a black friend. And it's like, no, that's not what that means. If you have a black friend, show up for your black friend. Show your black friend how you support them in other ways instead of just saying, like, I have a black friend. Because I have a white friend too. What that mean?
Like, that's something you're not going around broadcasting that you got a white friend.
Yeah, like, okay.
That you got a Colombian friend. You're not going around saying that. Okay. So why do you feel like that's okay to go around and be like, you got a black friend? Like,
so let me ask y'all this then. What do you guys think about, like, interracial couples?
No.
Oh wow.
I mean,
He said.
Scratch.
What interracial? Like what exact? Like Spanish and black, white and black.
Any interracial, but black mixed in it.
I mean, I'm all for the interracial couples, but I'm also for if that person has to be able to help you with your black experience. Meaning, there's a lot of shit going on, right? With the protesting and all that shit. Like, you gotta be able to talk to me about these topics and not get offended,
right,
and use your privilege to help me because you're with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's why I feel like it's kind of hard for me to even step into being with a white man or a Hispanic man, because like, you gonna understand me? You gonna step out in these streets and protest with me? Like, throughout the whole pandemic, I was protesting. And it's like, you gonna be able to understand how it feels to be a black woman, how some days I'm crying because my hair's so coarse, I need to get a good moisturizer, and you're not gonna be mad. Like, you know, like, it's hard. Like, I don't know. And I don't know. I don't know.
Molly.
I kind of just feel like, do as you please, but don't ever let nobody minimize your voice. You know, don't ever feel like you need to compromise who you are, your story, your whole identity to be with somebody, because if not, that's not worth it.
Right.
And I feel like, I don't know, I had this conversation with someone and they told me that they knew someone who dated a white man. She was a black woman. She dated a white man. And she was just like, honestly, it's nice to date someone who doesn't bear the weight of the world on his shoulders. Like, he doesn't walk down the street as a black man, so he doesn't experience that. So he's able to like cater to me and like hear me.
That's kind of weird though, and deep.
That's what I
get it.
I heard about it, me too. And I was just like, but that's like the patriarchy and the white supremacy all deeply rooted.
Right.
I mean, your preference
reminds me of a house slave though. You feel safe around that person because they got the privilege.
This person.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's deep. That's really deep. You're gonna be in a relationship. You know, like being in a relationship, that's all on you. But you know, feel like you're gonna be supported, and the person's gonna understand you. And,
right? Because
you know,
right.
That's what we're going with it.
You gotta support the person you are dating. Right?
I mean, I personally feel like I don't know if I could date someone, because like, although I say like, you know, there is a lot of you know, issues with black men dating black women and feeling like they rather date lighter skinned women or white women, situations like that. I do typically try to go for black women, or I mean, not black women, black men. I typically try to go for black men, just because I just feel like I'd rather date someone that understands my struggle. Even just dating people that also are from my community, I just usually try to tend to go for that. Like I said, I don't usually go for Dominican men just because I know they personally probably wouldn't like me because I'm black, but like Puerto Rican men or like black men, I just feel like those are just usually my go-tos because I just feel like they will understand me. They will understand where I've come from, my environment, why I am the way I am, why I eat the way I eat, why I move the way I move, why I talk the way I talk, why I like to listen to this, shit like that. Like, you feel me? And I won't have to explain myself at family events or explain myself to anyone or explain my culture. You feel me? So I feel like I always tend to go for that. So I don't know. I don't see myself dating someone outside of my race or outside of my culture. Just for that reason, being alone, you know? And even when you, even for lighter skinned women that are black, like they even deal with that issue where they don't even feel like they're black enough, you know, and they have the black community coming at them and just them feeling like, you know, well, I'm half white, I'm half black, like I'm two of one, that everybody is just clashing, you know. So I just feel like it's always that too. So I feel like I don't feel any type of way about interracial couples, but I personally don't think I would go for anybody that's white.
Yeah,
I just don't see it.
I was thinking about what you were saying because I post a lot of things like, oh, I want a black baby. And what I mean by that, I'm not trying to fetishize black children or that weird shit. But what I'm saying is mixed children have been fetishized so long, so many years. We don't embrace our beautiful black children with the 4C hair, and you don't need your edges slicked. You know what I'm saying? You got the nice fur. Your mother put the little moisturizer in you. You know what I'm saying? We don't typically go for that. Most of the things you see in the media is lighter skinned children. And I always say I want to marry a black man to have that dark skinned child, and I'm going to raise them to not get perms and relaxers and all that stuff, you know? Yeah. And I feel like that's the thing too. Like, I hate when lighter skinned women post mixed children and be like, I cannot wait to have this because they're dating a black man. It's just like, that's cringy. Like,
problematic.
But it's a thing though.
It's a thing.
It's a thing to be a woman of lighter skin and have babies with a black man. So your child could be mixed. You know, they have that whole theory about the Kardashians and them
don't get to that.
Them only dating black men, and I mean, besides Courtney, the really old, the only real one. Like, you know?
But it's okay to have a preference. But when I see you doing things and then I don't see you promoting the black community, it's weird.
It's like you have this biracially mixed child and you know, you're not black, so how are you accommodating to this child's life and the kind of life the child's about to have?
And that's a good question, because I ask myself that a lot. Like, okay, you have a mixed child, right? Your husband is black, your child is like light skinned black. Are you teaching your daughter, your son, of their black roots, of their black culture, along with their father doing it? Are you letting them embrace it? Are you feel me? Like, I'm not saying you can't teach them your culture, you can, but like, are you also allowing that side as well? You feel me? Are you only raising them as a white child? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, it's just weird to me. But I think that's so weird. Even in my family, like, we all come out, like, and that's the thing, like, black people all come out in different colors, right? Different shades. You know, my whole family is different. Like, I don't even know, I'm black, but, you know, like, and I guess I'm brown skin, dark skin, whatever. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, whatever. But my sister is light skin. She's the only light skin one, and my brother is dark skin. He's chocolate. Okay. And so, like, we're all different, like, shades. And even when my sister was, like, of a certain age where she could understand, she would always say, like, I'm yellow. Like, she would say, I'm yellow, I'm golden. And I'll be like, yeah, but you're yellow golden, but you're still black. And she wouldn't understand. She's a child, right? So she'd be like, how am I black? Like, I'm yellow. Like, my skin is yellow. And I'll be like, yo, no, but you're black, like you're culturally black. But just because we're different colors doesn't mean we're different. Like, we're both the same, just that your skin is lighter. And she would always say, but I'm not brown like you guys. Like, I'm not black. Like, and I'll be like, no. And so it's like I said before, it's always that stigma with light skin children too, of that area of them trying to fit in, like decide where they fit in, because of how strong and structural I feel like the black community has gotten. Also, about being black, like, it's gotten really, like, strict, and like, you know, people is getting canceled if they don't fuck with black shit. Like, it's just like, which I understand, because that right there, that's crazy.
But cancel culture is dumb too. But going back to what you said about the children and stuff, I just finished reading a book called Why Are All the Black Kids Sitting Together in the Cafeteria by Beverly Tatum. And she mentions how a lot of, like, you know, lighter skinned women have children with black men. And she goes, don't let your first black friend be your child. And that was powerful, because I'm like, that's some real shit. Like, don't let your first black friend be your child. Like, you basically saying, like, a lot of women or anybody, men, their first child is black because they decided to interracial date and have a black child. You know? So it's like, wow. Like, I didn't even know what to think of that quote. Like, and then going back to what you're like, your sister, like, she's already internalizing how different she is and how her privilege could be used, saying, I'm yellow, I'm lighter skinned brown, and you're black. I could fit in with the other kids, but you can't, you know? And it's like something we gotta teach our kids too. Like, no, you black. You gonna be different. You gonna get more privilege than me. But let you be in the aisle in Walgreens with a white woman, you stealing and she not.
Right, period. Like, period. It's true. That's true.
And I feel like that's, like, the point of it all is, like, that's your experience, this is my experience, but do you understand how we still have this bigger problem? You know what I mean? Like, you have different, maybe you're lighter skinned than I am, maybe your features are different than I am, or mine are, but, like, if you're in a room with white people, you gonna be on this side. Like, you're not gonna be on that side with them. You know what I mean?
I would hope that you would want to be on our side too. Right. That's the thing. But
that's a whole other conversation.
But I agree with you too, because I feel like that is the bigger picture. Like, at the end of the day, like, and I even had an episode before this where we spoke about like Black Lives Matter and just like all the things that have been going on. And I think that it would just be so much better if we could stick together if these stigmas weren't put in place. Because I feel like they separate us more than they bring us together. Like, you know, this whole like, you're lighter skin, so you're seen this way. You're black, so you look like this animal and all this stuff. It divides us more because then you have this area where it's like it's a gray area because you have lighter skinned women dealing with what they're dealing with, and then feeling like, you know, well, I have my black sisters, my black women that are going through this, and it's like they can't overcompensate and help us because we can't help ourselves. There's nobody that can help us. There's nothing they can do. It's not like a light skinned woman can stand up and be like, date my friend, and it's gonna be like, okay, like that's not gonna happen.
That's a savior complex too.
Right, and that's a savior complex. That's not gonna happen. Like, it's deeply rooted. It's more than just like
systematic.
So, yeah, it's more than just them saying it or them even acknowledging it. It's more than that. So it's like, you know, I feel like if we would just all come together, I feel like things would just be so much better. Like, there would just be no division, especially even with that whole brown skin, dark skin, light skin shit. God. That shit shouldn't even be alive. Like,
or like red bone, yellow bone,
like all that shit. And sidebar to Danny Lay, like to say, like I just want to talk about that quickly. Like, I understand why people were mad at her because it does seem like she was trying to show a lot of limelight to light skinned women, but y'all have to understand, and I get it. We don't have a lot of songs that show limelight to darker skinned women, but you cannot blame her because that's not her fault. That's one. Two, secondly, I feel like it's not her fault. It's not
her fault, but also she tried to use the fact that there are a lot of brown skin songs, like Brown Skin Girl, that promotes brown. But you gotta remember, in years there have not been songs that promoted black beauty, so she could not use that example to justify her actions.
But she shouldn't have.
That's where I was like, you're going down there.
That she probably shouldn't have done, but I don't think it was her fault that, you know, she was glorifying that skin color.
Oh, because he told her that.
Right. And you got to think about it. Like, she probably was thinking in her head, like, I'm a light-skinned woman, so it's okay for me to make a song praising light-skinned women. I don't think she was thinking, I'm praising light-skinned women and saying anything about brown-skinned women. Because I didn't feel like in the song, and when I first heard it, or when I first heard anything about it, that she was putting down darker-skinned women.
Oh, no, I don't think so.
To uplift light-skinned women. And that's always my problem when it comes to people in colorism. If you're putting down my color to uplift one, that's when we have a problem. And I didn't feel like she was doing that. So I'm like, okay, well, you know, let me give her that benefit of the doubt. Now, do I feel like she should have made a song like that? Maybe it wasn't needed. Like, you know, like maybe she didn't.
And then to compare it to all the black.
Yes. And it was just a justification. And I also feel like I feel like she said something in the song, like something about like, he don't want you, he want me.
And then, you know, we got a baby mother who is black.
Skin, right. So black. So I just, it just didn't, that's when it didn't seem, when she said that, that's when I was like, okay, now maybe you're doing too much. Maybe now. But I do understand, and I feel like that's where that line is drawn, you know, when it comes to like things that lighter skinned women can say or do about darker skinned women or black women. And I feel like it's really a gray area. Like, it's so hard because it's so hard to, that's why I say, like, it's so hard to pick and choose about what it is that we can and cannot sometimes. It's just like, if it's one, then it's all. If it's not all, then it's not. You can't pick and choose. It's either you say this and that's wrong, or you say that and it's wrong. It can't be, oh, but she said it like that. Like, no. Either way, it's wrong. You feel me? So I just wanted to throw a little shine on that and her situation, because that was like a big one that everybody was talking about, and I was just like, that's crazy. Like, you know, even somebody asked me, how do you feel about that as a black woman? And I was just like, well, I mean, I don't feel like if she didn't say nothing about like black skinned women, dark skinned women being any type of this and that, then I don't really give a fuck.
I think she went wrong when she started explaining herself, and that's when she was like,
yes. And now she made problematic. I don't think her team looked over what she was saying. Because
they start ranting on Twitter and shit, and that's it.
Start adding each other.
Once you say something on Twitter, sadly not, it's never, you can never get that shit.
But like, I don't have a problem with interracial dating. I think it's when you start putting down other skin tones. Like, yeah, I don't want to date a black woman because her hair, or she got to put that. That's when it's like, all right, you putting us down. You can date whoever you want. Your preference is your preference, but don't put down another skin color or race because you not feeling. Just say you like this type of woman and leave it like that.
Facts.
Like, that's it.
Facts. And some people be afraid to say they don't like black women. Like I have a friend who, like, he's never dated black women. Like, he's only ever dated Hispanic women. He's a black man. And I just be like, you don't like black women. He'd be like, stop saying that. And I'm like, bro, it's true. Like,
or they'd be like, I like what I like. Like, we know what you like.
Right. And it's, you don't like black. And it's totally fine. That's just not your preference. This is what you prefer. And that's totally fine. But stop lying to yourself.
I feel like they be uncomfortable because they know that that's like some deeply rooted dumb issue. They don't want to face that. Which is like, goes back to that topic of like, you need to do that work within yourself to be like, oh, maybe what I thought was okay is not really okay. And was already something that was like instilled in me. It wasn't really like, this is my view or what I really thought about it. It was like, this is what I grew up knowing. Right. So this is what I thought was what it was. You know what I mean? So, like, what's the problem with, and if that's your preference, then why are you so uncomfortable with saying that?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, if you don't prefer to date black women, that's fine. I never feel any type of way if it's a preference. And especially if you're not putting down my race to uplift the race that you prefer. Right. You feel me? Like, if you're not doing that, then whatever, cool. Whatever. You like lighter skinned women, that's totally fine. Like, I'm not gonna say, because there's women that'll be like, I only date dark skinned men, I only date chocolate men. That's me. And that's their preference, and that's it. They're not trying to say nothing, and that's that. So I don't feel any type of way if a man says, like, I prefer to date light skinned women. I have a problem when you are putting my race down to uplift the race that you prefer. That's fine. You can date whoever the fuck you want. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like,
and that's like you were saying, like, they have to do that work, and I feel like a lot of black men don't do that work, but black women do. Like, when I was 16, I was like, I'm gonna date a Spanish guy because my kid gonna be light skinned and have nice hair. And then when I got older, I started doing the work within my identity, be like, whoa, that's not a valid reason not to date your race. That's some deeply rooted internalized issues you had because your mom was perming your hair once a fucking month to make it straight, and you noticed all your lighter skinned friends was, you know,
attracting this type
and that's the work I do. But I feel like a lot of black men don't do that work that black women do, and that's the problem. They just stay in their roots and that's it. I'm sticking to it, and I don't know how I feel about that.
I'm saying you can't be doing your healing work and then the person you trying to build a life with not doing their healing work. Like, it's not ever gonna work because I'm trying to elevate and you trying to stay right where you at. You know what I mean? So, like, again, that's your responsibility. Like, you had the childhood you had, and maybe you have all these like survival tactics that you had to make it through your childhood, whatever it was, and you come with your traumas and whatever it is. But now you're an adult, so how you take accountability for your actions, how you take accountability for the traumas that you had, so that you could be like a person who is self-aware and be a person that's happy and like is supportive and is someone who like wants to be within community and build community. Like, I feel like that's the bigger idea. Like, you see white people go to therapy. White people go to therapy from the time that they could crawl. Like, from the time that they're able to put two words together, mom, door, they're in therapy because they know that mom, door, like, I'm putting my kid in therapy because I'm not perfect. So I know I'm not going to raise a perfect child. So, okay, I'm going to give you all these tools so that you can work at the things that I'm going to influence on you and unpack that and, you know, like, be better for yourself. But I feel like that's not, you know, mental health is just now becoming like, you know, we're realizing that that's actually true and that happens. But there's a lot of pushback on that. Like, no, you're not depressed. No, you don't have anxiety. Oh, you just calling attention. Oh, just suck it up and figure it out. No, call it what it is. I have trauma because you did this and the other as a child, and now, like, this is the effects of that. But I'm an adult, so I'm gonna take accountability and I'm gonna go and fix that because that's not right. But, like, you know, I also feel like men don't really have that space. You know, I feel like as women, we also create those spaces within ourselves, even in our sisterhood, in our sisterhood, to have these conversations. And I feel like men are like afraid of that,
that goes back to that deeply rooted trauma of not growing up with that vulnerability, being able to talk to other men in your age group and speak about the things that y'all going on mentally, physically, emotionally, because that's not things that happen. You know, some men don't sit down with their bro and be like, yo, bro, like, I've really been thinking having some heavy shit on my mind. Like, they just don't do that because once they have that area where they feel like they have to get vulnerable and emotional and open themselves up emotionally and feel, some men can't deal with that.
Right.
Some men can, and that goes back to how you've been raised, who you've been around while you grew up, who taught you. You feel me? But some men don't have that, so they can't open up to anybody. So it's like they have that hard shell around them, and they just have that wall up, and it's hard. It's hard to get to that, you know. But I feel like we all have gone through that trauma. You feel like, you know, I feel like we all have trauma. Like, there's no one that I don't know that doesn't have trauma. They can say whatever the fuck they want. They can think they don't have it, but we all have trauma. So, you know, I feel like it just gets added on as we get older, and sometimes we are just born with it. Like, there's nothing that we can do about that. And it's a lot, especially with mental health. I feel like that's just become like this new trend where it's like, be mentally strong. But before, I don't feel like it was something that I feel like was so open about. I didn't feel like I learned about mental health until I fucking got out of college. You feel me? Like, I feel like I had no idea and nothing about it. Like, nothing about learning about your mental health. Like, I didn't even think about that. Like, that was not something that was on my mind. So I feel like there's a lot of just shit that, you know, us as human beings just go through, whether we're black, white, tan, whatever the fuck color you are. That, you know, it's just stuff that we hold on to and exert into the world, and we carry it on, and it's like we just carry it to other people, and this is all goes back to like just like other shit, but like this is probably off topic, but like just having that mask up, like, you know, like us all wearing masks and being other people and not really being ourselves because we don't really know who that person is because of our traumas.
And that makes me think about what you said earlier when you were like that the black woman was dating a white man because she feels like he don't have to think about that day-to-day struggle. Like, he could just go outside and live life. He's normal to society. And that makes me... Right. And I never thought about it like that because, like, honestly, it makes me think, like, I want to be with somebody who don't have to deal about that struggle, think about if I'm going to get shot by the cops or somebody going to think of me different. You know what I'm saying? And I've never really seen it like that. And in the beginning, I was downplaying what she said, but now I get it as a black woman. Like, damn, like I could walk outside with somebody, you don't even gotta think about no bullshit. We don't gotta talk about that no bullshit because I'm mentally stressed. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard too because like even though we off a little bit off topic, it makes me think like I grew up in my household like you a black woman. You can't let the world see you cry. You can't stress. You can't do this. And it's why I'm so emotionally unavailable sometimes. Like, I don't even cry or hug my friends. Because it's like, I got to be strong, baby. You can't make me vulnerable. Because the world going to see me. Like, my mom used to be like, don't let the world see you cry. That's a big-ass world. You know what I'm saying? So to be with somebody who just don't got to worry about some shit, I can see why they do it. Like, some days we don't have to talk about this topic. Because I don't want to talk about it no more. I've been talking about it since I was 6 years old. You know? I feel like that's a privilege.
For me, you know, like, it doesn't need to be a dialogue. And that's why I was like, at first I was a little conflicted. I was like, oh, that sounds a little troublesome. But I was like, I could see how that would make sense for her. Like, she felt like she wanted someone who could just be and be present with her and hold space for her, you know, as opposed to having to constantly hold space for each other. Because I feel like the experiences as a black man in American society is fucking ridiculous. If we're really gonna talk about it, shit is unfucking called for, and it's fucking brutal. And it starts in the homes, and then it's like it starts in the homes. It's outside, everywhere you turn, and then it's like what does that mean for the people who are raising these black boys? Like, how do you then raise a black boy to be like, don't call too much attention to yourself outside, and you know, if a cop stop you, then just say what they got to say. But then even still, you still don't know if that's really your kid gonna make it home.
There's a lot of black men with PTSD.
Yeah, so
it's a lot of them, and a lot of them you wouldn't even think. You don't even got to be a quote unquote hood nigga, and you could have some PTSD.
PTSD.
So.
It's hard.
There's a lot. I honestly just feel like it's a lack of humanity. Like, I feel like if you cannot be empathetic to another human being, you don't need to care about what their sexual preference is. You don't need to care about who they do, what they do, how they speak, how they dress, what they eat. That's none of your business. Like, your business is, I as a human being am going to respect you because you are a human being. Because I want to be respected as a human being.
How it should be.
It's a lack of humanity, and that's why you see, like, there's a lack of humanity, and then we have capitalism, and then we have all these isms that follow, you know?
Right.
So,
too many to be exact.
if y'all taking anything home today, then be a humane person.
And unpack your own cultural identity, so you're not offending your own cultural identity or others. Like, unpack that. Like,
and for all the niggas that think black women are ghetto and ratchet and loud and all this stuff, that's not true. We're not. And we are...
know how to have a fun time. It's fun time. Like, it's a vibe, clearly. What are you talking about?
I don't even know what to say, but period. Like, you feel me? And shout out to my light skinned women, because I don't want y'all to feel like I feel any type of way about y'all. I love you.
But we have one right here. Okay. Talking her shit about respecting all identities.
God, this is my sis right here.
It's okay.
And be teachable. I feel like it's okay to feel uncomfortable, and you're not always going to be right, and there's always something for you to learn. So be teachable.
Period.
And you don't understand what the next person is dealing with at home, when they leave the table, when you see them on the street. So be kind. Be kind. Yes. There's a lot of ugly in the world.
Don't get offended when we bring up issues about being brown skin or whatever, because there's some people that feel like, well, I'm lighter skinned black, but I'm black, so I know your same struggle. No,
you don't.
No, definitely don't. Do not. When they say those words, I'll be like, gotta go.
I hate when people
it's not worth your conversation. And then that's when you like, okay, sir, I'm gonna have a conversation with you, because you're not even aware of yourself.
That's what I'm saying. You gotta unpack your own racial identity.
And that'd be crazy when they do that, because I just be looking at them like,
no.
What?
You gotta bring them to the mirror and be like, do you see yourself? Okay, you see yourself, you see me, you see
and then go back to that quote, you was a house slave and I was in the field.
And it's, bro, and that shit, honestly, I said that quote because that really still sticks to today. Like, they're literally legit in society is that field slave and that house slave. It's still very much there. Like, you feel me? Like, it's still very present, and it's sad. It's sad that slavery still has that impact on us. I mean, we already know that. It's still, we still systematically racist, so... You know, that shit has never gone away. But it's just so sad, like, how we just don't... We haven't broken out of these things like we just should. Like, it's fucking 2021. And niggas is still doing
having
dumb
conversations.
Still having these conversations.
Still having to go out in the streets and protest for people's humane rights. Human rights. Like,
but it's like you said, like, and even when I said it on my my previous episode, like, you know, she said it, like, we're not seen as people. We are property. Like, you feel me? Like, money, we are property. Right. We've always been property. And it's just gotten worse over the years. And they just put better words on it and, you know, sugared it up, made us feel better. But we still property to them. And we obviously see that by the things that are going on in society. So I just want to, when we end this episode, I just want to say, stay fucking woke. That's all I'm going to say.
And that's on you. That's your job.
That's your job. Because at the end of the day, literally this generation will be the generation that kind of molds the world for the way it's gonna go when it comes to race. Like, we really are the age group that's gonna determine this shit. And the generation below us, like, we really have to put them on, you know, because it's like, if we don't get it right and they don't get it right, that's it. Because if anything we want to leave with that as well.
Right.
So, thank you for joining us on episode fucking 10. We made it, y'all.
Fun times. Everybody remember fun times.
Fun times. Like, we're gonna look back on this day and laugh.
Yes.
The shitty audio. But thank you to my guests, Amali and Simone. It was a pleasure, and thank you for fucking with us.
Wow, that was perfect.
It was.
I usually never get a perfect time.
Like,